So what we're going to cover today, there's lots of different aspects to sales. Some of it you'll have heard and you'll already know. Some of it you might not know. And we'll give you hopefully some inside tips. For those that have joined us on our other webinars, there is a little bit of crossover. But if you've not seen our other webinars, you can download them on our website or you can watch them on our YouTube. All the details, Andy will paste them into the chat as we go, but you can find it on royalflushmarketing.co.uk. Now, we would say do take some notes because obviously the presentation itself, we use it as a visual cue, and we'll talk about that a bit later. But if you want to write some notes, it's going to help you to make sense when you do download the presentation. And if you've got any questions, for those of us who have just joined, do pop them into the chat. We'll try and pick them up as we go, but sometimes it's a bit of a flow. So if not, we'll recap at the end and we'll go through all the questions as we go along. So I'll hand you back to Andy. He's going to start you off with the importance of sales.
Yeah, it is important, isn't it? Unfortunately, it's often overlooked and undervalued for some reason. But without any sales, without any pipeline, you haven't really got a business. So you've got to make it a key focus, whether you're just starting out or you've been established for a while, but there's just you. We've got to keep that pipeline going because, unfortunately, without sales, we're not going to survive. So, bit of a quote for you. Why should you do it? So practice is just as valuable as the sale. The sale will make you a living, but the skill will make you a fortune. Self-explanatory, really. You've got to practice at this, but it just highlights the power. When done correctly, there's no looking back. But it just takes a little bit of time. Really, whether there's just one person in a business or there's 3 or 4 or even more, everyone should be a type of salesperson. Everyone should be always looking for that angle, that lead, that referral, whether you're at a networking event or just in the pub, just listening, just talking to people. And if everyone is doing that type of thing together, and it's not just left to one person, you can really start to build that pipeline and start converting. Well, let's look at lead acquisition first. So you might not know where to start. How am I going to get any leads? Where do I look for? There's a number of things that you can do, and we'll start with data straight away. So having a good data source, it can really take the burden away of trying to scramble around and look for certain businesses that you want to get in touch with. It's going to make you more efficient. If you have all the details to hand, simply like a phone number, their email address, their position, what sector they're in, or the turnover, then you're going to quickly be able to build that pipeline. There's loads that you can see on screen there. There's a couple that we use. Dun & Bradstreet, really good. Experian. Electric marketing, I would definitely recommend. We use that one quite a lot. You can be quite targeted on them, and they deal in absolutely loads of sectors. So you can ask for things like, I just want to speak to marketing directors or managing directors in retail who have got a turnover of 5 to 15 million. And you get it all in a spreadsheet within a couple of days, and then you've got it all there, and you can start attacking it. There are other things like Companies House, and there's other free data sources, but the Dun & Bradstreet's, the electric marketing, there is a fee to it. Just a little note: if you are going to purchase some data, just be careful, of the GDPR laws, and make sure that they're fully compliant with that. And also as well, there's a thing called the TPS, the Telephone Preference Service. You might have heard of it, you might not. If someone is on the TPS, you're really not supposed to call them. You can, but if they make a complaint, you can get a bit of a fine. So if you're purchasing data, just make sure that you want data that isn't registered on the TPS. And then finally on data, if you are going to purchase some, set a clear brief for what you want to achieve. So as I just said then, you can be quite specific, but really look at your objectives. Who is it that you want to target? Because there's so much data out there, you can easily end up with the wrong set. And if you've got a load of data, it's pointless calling because you're not going to want to do business with it. So it just sets you off on the wrong foot. And in terms of cost for them, it can be, it's reasonable. It can be as little as 10p per lead, up to about 50p per data entry. So it's something worth considering if data is what you're after. Now, another key one, which is probably, people, they have data and they don't like to pick up the phone or just send emails. Social media can be a key to getting leads if you do it right. It's just worthwhile spending some time and just connecting with decision makers in your sector where you want to sell, basically. And I don't mean just, firing out a load of connection requests to anybody. It's pointless. I've got 10,000 connections, but I don't speak to any of them. We spend, well, Ben and I spend the first 15 minutes every day just connecting with 5 marketing directors or 5 managing directors in sectors that we work in. And it doesn't sound much, but it quickly builds up a list of trusted connections, and then you can get into networking with them. And it's a great place to find people looking for things as well. We see it all the time on LinkedIn. This, what you can see on the screen, is the services development specialist. He's for the Manchester BIPC, and we weren't connected, but it just popped up on our LinkedIn feed, and I saw it says, we're looking for someone to talk about guerrilla marketing. They ended up having about 150 messages from people saying, yeah, we're the best, we can do it, get in touch with us, I know someone who'll do it. And there's such a huge list there that it can be overwhelming for the person asking for a little bit of assistance. And when I ever see anything like that, I just pick up the phone, I find the mobile number or the landline, and I pick up the phone and I'll say, listen, I've seen your request. Let's, can we jump on a video call? I'll tell you what we can do. And we did that. The next day, we set up a video call. In the afternoon, we'd signed up to deliver a number of these webinars, and then it transferred over to different networks like Sheffield and like Hull. So it's the easiest thing you can do. Someone's looking for your particular services or products, so make it easy for them. If I ask for something, saying I'm looking for an accountancy, and I get 100 accountants saying, yeah, get in touch with us, I can't be bothered going through everyone. So make it easy, get in touch. The easiest thing you can do to get business. And we've done this countless times. We did it with a company who does R&D tax solutions. And they were looking for a website and branding. And again, I think it was about 500 comments on there. I just called them up, and they wanted a website, a rebranding. It was about £45,000 job. And we won it straight away because they haven't got time for all this. So pick up the phone, get in touch, or drop them a line saying when's best to call you. Another good thing you can do, which is really powerful, is join groups. There's loads of specific groups, especially on LinkedIn, that you can join that'll be in your sector. So join them, and then obviously I'm not saying get in and start selling to them straight away, but join them and make yourself useful. Be the type of thought leader, be the expert commentator in that group, because people will soon start to see that actually I keep seeing these guys, they keep providing good information. We did it again recently. As I said, we can work in loads of sectors. There was a plant-based food group, and I'd seen there was a company looking for some particular services. So I joined this plant-based food group, and we just provided a bit of information, some stats from the data actually from the BIPC on the different generations, vegans, vegetarians, and what their interests are in plant-based food and what their buying habits are. We put a little PDF together and I fired it out into this group, and I got a number of companies, and one of them was the biggest plant-based food delivery service in the UK. Got in touch, the MD did, and said, can we set up a call with our marketing director, because we didn't really know that about our sector. And we did. So it could be really, again, it's just an easy sell really. As long as you're putting useful information into that specific group that care about what you care about too, you can have a field day. But there's also, aside from groups, there's loads of events that you can attend. I'm sure you've seen the events like for the webinars through LinkedIn or through some social network. You can get into them to attend, but you can also if you start posting useful information, you can then be asked to be a key speaker, or run a networking group, something like that. You know, presenting your products or services at workshops. There's loads of things that you can do. So yeah, always worth spending, you know, perhaps 15 minutes, 30 minutes a day, connecting with the right people, joining the right groups, and putting information out there that's going to be useful to your target audience. Email marketing. So this can be a really good channel. You can get the message out to the masses, or you can be really targeted. Now, a lot of people think email marketing is a waste of time and it's died a death years ago. It hasn't. This is a powerful tool still when it's done correctly. You have to think carefully about what you want to tell them. You know, how are you going to pique their interest? And just make sure you have a really simple call to action. Make things as easy as possible for people, because, well, you know, we're not stupid, we're just a little bit lazy. So if you don't spell it out for me, click here, I probably won't. So this is one that we did when we worked for the full service agency. And we just wanted something a bit light-hearted. So as you're marketing a pain in the bum with the, you know, the toilet roll cheese grater, it brought a smile to a lot of the people's faces. But what we did, we didn't just fire this out to everybody. We did it in a more targeted way. So we handpicked a number of contacts and just sent it out to them just to see what the response would be, and see if we got the messages right. And if you don't get the message right, then because you haven't sent it out to everyone, you can just tweak it and change certain things or different images. And then once you tweak it and you get it right, that's where you can roll it out on a much larger scale. Well, we did that and we got fantastic response for people clicking through to the website and arranging meetings. Really, and that is really cost effective to do as well. Doesn't cost hardly anything. There's, you know, if you've got a shop or you're running an exhibition, there's people walking by, walking in. You know, make your shop window stand out. Don't be boring. You know, use it to draw people in, because especially if you're on the high street, I don't know whether anybody is here. People eventually, probably not at the moment, but they're going to be walking past. Little story for you. There was a shop window, and there was a guy who used to walk past on his way to work every day. He used to walk past the shop, and there was always random objects in the window, and he never knew what the shop sold. So one day, you know, the intrigue got the better of him, and he had to go in. He said, "Excuse me, what is it that you sell?" He went, "Why?" He went, "Well, you've got loads of random objects in the window. They're dead intriguing, and I've always wanted to come in. But I just don't know what it is that you do." He goes, "Oh, I do circumcisions." And he went, "Well, why have you got all these random objects in the window?" He said, "Well, what do you want me to put in the window?" So I don't know if anyone's laughing there or not. It's a little joke. But keep your shop window, your exhibition stand fresh. You know, just make people want to find out more. And once they do, then you can find out about them. Fairly, you know, stuff you probably already know. Networking, finally, just from me. There's loads to attend, especially when we get back out there and we can do face-to-face. But there is loads of networking events online. If you are doing anything or looking to attend a networking event, do a bit of research first. Just make sure it's the right for you, because, you know, you can go to a networking event for opening a bag of crisps these days. It can be a complete waste of time. But if you do get into a networking event, work the room. Don't just get stuck with one person. With these events, you've got to be quite ruthless. So if someone's not right for you, or they're just jabbering on about themselves and their problems and their challenges, just move on. Obviously, be polite. When you're speaking to people, take interest in them. They can be so powerful. Networking events can. People love to talk about themselves. Ask them questions. You know, well, we always say don't just sell, but I'd say don't sell at all unless it's absolutely right for the booking. You know, remember the purpose. A networking event is to start a lead. It's not to make the sale. You know, it can take 6, 12, you know, 3 years. What my personal best was 3 years, where I met someone at a networking event and we kept in touch and it wasn't right. And I pitched a couple of times and it still wasn't right. And after the 3rd year, finally got over the line. So you've got to be, you know, it's not the short game. It is very much the long game, but you can get lucky. And another bit of a tip for you, again, it's a bit of common sense that you probably know. If you do get details from someone, just write down where you met them on, on your business card or something. As I said, 3 years down the line, I might not have remembered, although I had badged him pretty much every month or so. But be helpful as well. Don't just think about it from your point of view. Try and connect people up with other people. As I said at the start of this, might be someone on here, if someone's put what they do on their business, I might go, actually, I know somebody. I'll make an introduction for you. We are good friends with possibly the best networker in Manchester. And that's really, she is a business development manager for a big property company, but she knows everybody. And, I've passed her a couple of leads in the past, which she's converted them. But because we've done that, we're top of mind every time because she's meeting with so many businesses on a daily basis. And she passes us at least 3 leads a week to say, I've met with this person. They're perfect for you. I'm going to do you an introduction. You two should meet up and talk about your services because I'm sure you can assist each other. It's great. You're getting free stuff in every week. So if you're connecting people up, it's going to come back the other way, especially if you're doing it on a regular basis. So, when you are at networking, don't just think about yourself, think about how you can help others because that'll be the most benefit for you.
Now let's talk about referrals, because the majority of businesses, particularly when they start off, they build everything up on word of mouth. They wait for referrals to come to them. And it's quite an obvious and easy way for you to build your business. But actually, asking for referrals can be really difficult, especially when that initial network dries up. So if I was to say to you, we'd like referrals for marketing people, what immediately happens is you kind of think in your head, who do I know in marketing? And you get that kind of static, like if you pull the aerial out of a television, you get that white noise, that every single person you've ever known from childhood right to now flies up into your head, and it's very hard to pick them out. So think of it like a search engine. If you're asking for referrals, what you need to do is give keywords that are going to enable people to go through the memory banks and identify particular people. It's likely that they're going to think of people that they've more recently been in contact with. So give them specifics. If you've got people starting a new business, or you've got people launching a product, or perhaps there's specific problems that they face that you can help solve. Those kind of things help people to identify from conversations they've had, whether it's with someone at the gym, or maybe it's a colleague of theirs, maybe it's one of their friends or family. If you give them really specific keywords to think about, they're much more likely to give you referrals because they'll be able to recollect people. They'll reduce that static and that white noise and enable you to actually think about specific people. And then when you do get the referrals, make sure you find out who gave it. The reason I say that is it helps you to identify the source. And then when you start having a conversation with somebody you don't know, it gives you a common ground, or it gives you an opportunity to cite an example if perhaps they're one of your customers. That's going to break the ice a lot easier for you, but it's also going to start building from a position of trust. You're going to be able to use that referral to immediately garner that kind of commonality, that point of reference, an anchor, if you like, and also that trust that they've got, because that's a trusted resource. So the real trick to getting referrals and getting them to flow is to be really specific about what it is that you're after. And also, when you get those referrals coming through, remember to cite the source. Remember to say, refer to the person that's referred you to them, referred them to you even. And another little trick, you're probably wondering why there's a lottery ticket on the screen. So it's a little trick that we do that works really nicely. People have gone to the trouble to give you a referral, so it's only polite to thank them for it. But if you really want to thank somebody properly and encourage them to give you more referrals, we do a little card. We tuck in a lottery ticket and we put "thanks a million?" because we don't know if it's going to be $1 million ticket, £1 million ticket. Now, there's another little trick to this. You don't want to be passing somebody a lottery ticket that makes them $1 million and you've missed out, you'd be gutted. So we tend to use the same numbers and always have a lottery ticket ourselves when we're doing it, just to make sure that we'd get a share of the spoils if they did win. But it's been a really useful thing. What we've found is that people that we've given them to are really grateful that we've acknowledged their referral, and actually it encourages them to give us more referrals, because every time they do, we give them a lottery ticket, and who doesn't want one of those? So it's a nice little way to encourage people that do give you referrals to give you even more, and they can be really good lead sources, essentially, really good people. The other thing that's worth doing is we know that people that work in finance work with a lot of different businesses that are often trying to upscale. They're trying to take on acquisitions, they're launching new products or services. So we know for marketing that financial people are a really good lead referral source. So we tend to network with them particularly, because they can feed us lots of things, and we can feed them lots of referrals as well. So it's the give and get sort of mentality. You want to encourage and nurture your contacts to make sure that you're not just getting one and then that's it. You can get that continual source, and that really works wonders for building up those pipelines for cold leads and actually for warm leads as well. Now, as with referrals, recommendations are really important, and you've got to think, where did it come from? You've got to be able to ask that question, because it's going to once again help you to break the ice, have that common ground, give examples. But a really good source for local businesses particularly is to use Google reviews. Now, if you've not signed up to Google My Business and you are operating as a local business within a specific area, get yourself on there as quickly as possible, because this gives you the chance to compete with the big brands and the big advertising budgets. Essentially, Google is trying to be more useful to its users. So if it's localized information, it will prioritize it at the top of the page. And what you'll often see is a little map with lots of pins in it. So if it's for accountants, for example, it's going to put all the accountants that have registered in the area as little pins, and then it gives some further information in there, their website, and some information about the particular business, but also reviews. And this is really key to it, because if you ask for reviews and you're getting them, you're going to start to appear higher up that localized box. And also people can actually see a little bit about your business before they make the call or before they visit your website. That's really key, because what we know from data that we've got through the BIPC is that in the last 12 months, more and more people have been buying online. And as a result, the product research is increased. So from a survey of over 30,000 people, 78% of people said that they use reviews as part of their product research. 78% is an enormous amount of people. So if you've not got reviews, you're missing out. So make sure you ask for reviews. And when you do get reviews, make sure you respond. It all goes to adding to your score for your website, and it all goes to adding score to your profile, which means you've got more chance of appearing higher up the localized search results. And that gives you a really strong opportunity to get traffic driven to your website through the internet. So with all these different lead sources, you've got all these things up in the air. You're juggling lots of things. You've got leads that have come in from networking events, from email marketing, from data sources, from referrals, from reviews on Google My Business, all kinds of different leads. How on earth do you manage it? How do you keep track of all this stuff? Because they're all going to be at different stages as well. Some you'll have contacted, some you'll have not got round to contacting yet. Some might be warm. You've already had a conversation. Maybe you've had a meeting. Maybe you've done a proposal. Maybe they're actually become a customer and you need to take them off the kind of initial contact list. You've got to think about how you keep track of all these leads. And there's loads of different client relationship management tools that are available. Some are free, some are paid for. We personally, we use HubSpot, the free version. They're really, really good at building a quick database. You can upload your spreadsheet and it pulls it all in. But it doesn't just do that. It pulls in information from the internet about their business as well. So it gives you lots of ideas about turnover, about other potential contacts within the business, their website. It just automates the whole thing and makes it really easy for us. The other thing you can do is connect it to your email. And then when you send an email out, it automatically puts that email into that contacts record. Now, we use this all the time. So Andy might phone somebody and he'll update the notes on that particular record. And if I go to contact that person, I can see the conversation that they've had. And that makes it really easy for us not to cross over, but also to pick up if one of us is away and we need to follow up. So it's really important to use that kind of technology to help you do a better job of managing your leads. And I'm just going to give you a quick note on leads themselves, because when we're doing sales, we've got to think of the fact that not everybody's ready to buy from you. So if you think of it of an intention spectrum, right at this end of the spectrum, we've got people who've never even heard of your business, but we know that they might be the right kind of people for us. And then we can progress from that into people who are mildly interested. They're not ready to buy, but they are mildly interested. So they're likely to follow you. They're likely to be interested in messages. And then we get people that are a bit warmer and they're starting to do product research, but they're not necessarily quite ready to buy just yet. And then at the other end of the spectrum, we've got people that are absolutely primed, ready to buy, and have the high intent to buy. You've got to think whenever you're speaking to any of these leads, they could be at any place on that spectrum. So if you're going in with the hard sell now, you're going to find that you often get lots of disappointment. If you go in being useful, then actually what happens is you get the brand recognition starts to go out there. So when they do move to the very hot end, the high intention to buy, you want to be the first name that they recall. So this is all about marketing for sales. What we're trying to do is establish our brands as the first point of recall, so that they're thinking of us when they get to that point of product research and they get to that point of ready to buy. So that's what these systems can really help you do. We start with awareness, then we go into consideration, then we go into decision, and then we go into action. So manage your data in the same way. We have bubble pots where we say, it's cold, we've never spoken to them before, through to warm, through to hot. And somebody's asked in the thing, it's HubSpot for the name of the program that we use. And there's lots of different ones out there. I'm not a salesperson for HubSpot. We just tend to find that useful ourselves. They do hammer you with sales messages when you first sign up, but they give up after a while. And it does lots more. There's lots of different things that technology can do if you pay for it. So that's a little bit about managing your data. Let's talk about cold calling, because let's face it, that's the thing everybody dreads. There's a weird thing in Britain that we find sales a difficult subject. We don't look at it as something that we wear as a badge of pride. In the States and in lots of other countries, people are really proud of being salespeople. There is a badge of honor for them, and they make lots of money doing it. For some reason, in Britain, we see it as cold calls and call centers and door-to-door hawkers and that kind of thing. And we're very skeptical as a people. And so therefore, that can put us off if you have to do cold calling, even if you're following up on leads to people that have maybe walked into your premises, your shop, your gym, whatever. Following up on those leads can feel like you're intruding on their space. And you're absolutely not. They've shown an interest, or they're potentially going to benefit from it. So you've got to get yourself into the mindset of it. Now, when you get into the mindset, I want you to think of it as a game. And if you've ever played a video game on your phone or on a console or whatever, then you'll know that you have lots of goes. And what often happens is a bit like Mario Brothers. You run along and you're trying to get to the end of the level, and there's lots of obstacles and lots of things that are out there to kill you, essentially. Now, you run along and you have a go, and you've got to learn the timing. You've got to learn the combinations of buttons that you've got to press. And, you get it wrong. Sometimes you die, but you respawn and you have another go. And essentially, that's just the same as sales. What you're learning about is the timing. of when to say things. You're looking at the combination of things that you need to say, just like the button presses. And the thing, again, that works with the game analysis is if you die in a game, you don't worry, you have another go. So it's the same with sales. If you get a no, don't worry about it. That's just respawn and start again. It helps take the disappointment out of it. It helps lessen that rejection factor. It's not personal. You know, this is all about, we're trying to help people, not just sell to them. So the same as you get the dopamine hit when you reach the level, the end of the level in Mario Brothers or any video game, with sales, what you're doing is you're just going and going until you get that dopamine hit of a sale. And not only do you get the dopamine hit, you also get money as well. Now, a little tip here is you've got to really believe in what it is that you. If you don't believe in what you're selling, it's going to come through the way that you talk. It's going to come through in your approach, and then people aren't going to interact with it. So if you don't believe in what you sell, get another job, because if you don't believe it, nobody else is going to believe it either. So let's talk about the first stage of sales, cold calling sales, getting past the gatekeeper. Andy.
Yeah, first baddie in the game, this is. Does anyone, just out of interest, does anyone do any cold calling at all? I know, it's quite difficult at the moment with people working from home, but does anyone, I'll carry on talking, but if anyone's having any particular issues, stick it in the chat. Now, yeah, as I said, the first baddie in the game. Now, unfortunately, they're just doing their job. They're trying to protect their boss, and they don't want to put you through. So my advice for this is you've got to go at it with some confidence and some charm and some questions to divert when it's appropriate. Now, when I start with confidence, because let's say, for example, that I want to speak to a marketing director, and he's called, I've written the name down because I always forget a name, Chris Robson. So if I rang up and said, "Oh, hi, it's Andy from Royal Flush Marketing. Can I speak to Mr. Chris Robson, please?" I just get a load of questions back. Who's calling? What do you want? Do they know you're calling? Have you scheduled a call with them? He's not interested. And you're going to struggle straight away. So if I go in with a bit of confidence, it's Chris Robson. If I go, "Oh, morning, is Chris around?" 9 times out of 10, you'll be put through because they think you know him. They don't want to intrude on that particular call because obviously you've spoken to him in the past. You'll get through. You just got to have that confidence, or a bit of charm as well. So, sometimes there will be no questions coming back at all. Sometimes they could be really stern and they just don't want to let you through at all. So when they answer the phone, if you said, "Oh, what a lovely way to answer the phone. That's the best one I've heard all week," it's going to put a smile on the face. Now, I know a few of these things, what I'm going to say, might sound a bit cheesy, or you're cringing and going, "I'm not saying that." Trust me, practice it. It'll start coming natural to you. You will get through. Sometimes, though, there will be a question. Like, does he know you're calling? The answer to that is yes. Yeah, he does. Even if you've never spoken to them before, yeah, he knows what I'm calling. What's it about? He knows. You just got to be a bit bolshy here. They'll put you through, and then you can get into the whole conversation with that decision maker because you're through. You passed the first bit. Because you can't win all of them, so sometimes they just won't have it. You're not coming through. You might have rang them 6 or 7 times, not putting you through. So there's some switchboard tactics that you can use. First one is, they've got to go to the toilet at some point. They're going to go on lunch at some point. So try between the hours of 12 and 2. Someone will probably be filling in for them for at least one of those hours, or at least half an hour. You might have to try 4 or 5 times over a few days. And the person filling in for them won't be as bothered. They're just like, "Oh yeah, I'll put you through." So try that. The other one you can do is, press option 1 for the sales departments. You're always going to get through to a salesperson because they think they're going to sell you something, and simply say, "Oh, I've come through to the wrong number. Can you put me through to Chris?" "Yeah, I'll put you through." Or finance. Finance is probably the best one you can do because finance people, they do not want to be on the phone. They're busy doing some numbers. So they'll just stick you through without asking any questions at all. Again, it might sound a little bit I'm up in your face here, but just practice little things like that, and you'll start to get through. But as I said, I don't know if anyone is doing any cold calls on the moment, but if you are, practice that, and you'll start to get through. And once you get through, we're on to a whole different thing here. So what you don't want to do is go, it's Andy Smith from Royal Flush Marketing. We do marketing strategy, we build websites, we do design, we do branding. You're just going to waste that first contact there. So give a very brief intro. And I'd give you an example of how I do it. It's, oh, hi, it's Andy from Royal Smith Marketing. Andy from Royal Flush Marketing. How are you today? All right. Yeah, you're going to get them talking a little bit of small talk. What did you get up to at the weekend? I was out with the kids. Oh yeah, where did you go? Oh, we went walking. We live in the Peak District. Oh, how many kids have you got? Oh, I've got 2. How old are they? 8 to 10. Oh, mine are 8 and 10. They're a nightmare, aren't they? Always up to no good. This, that, and the other. We've got some small talk going. Can be anything you want related to, to your life, I suppose. What that's going to do is lead into that bigger conversation, and from identifying that you have got similar issues and you're into similar things, because you could do some research on social media. You might know that they like canoeing or they like going to the leisure centre. You can tell went to the leisure centre. You're going to get into that bit of a bigger conversation. And also as well, after this, they might have 2 or 3 minutes talking with you. You're onto a good thing here. Eventually, they're going to want to know, well, actually, why are you calling me? So you can then call it diversion. So I'd just go into, well, we're Royal Flush Marketing. Have you heard of us at all? And just, put it back to them. Well, no, I have not heard of you. And then, I often say, well, people think we're a toilet company because of our name. We're actually a marketing agency. And then you can get to the real intro. But again, keep it very light. So normally I'd say we align the business objectives to the marketing objectives, and we help loads of businesses in your sector. What are you currently doing in marketing at the moment? Hit them with some open questions then. Oh, how are you? What we're doing is we're getting them talking. We're just asking little questions, and they're going to tell me all of their problems. So how are you, what are you doing in marketing at the moment? What's your biggest challenge then? They'll probably identify one of their challenges to you. You've got a problem. You're going to solve this for them. They give you a problem, and guess what? You've got the solution to solve their particular issue. So give a very brief solution. Oh, we actually did that for a similar business to yours in the same sector, where we achieved this, that, and the other. So they've actively told you that they've got an issue in a particular part of their marketing department. I've given them a very brief solution. What we need to do then is ask for a meeting. But I'm going to come to that in a minute, because sometimes you're going to have to overcome some objections, or some difficult customers. So no matter what industry or sector or what you're selling, they're going to be pretty similar. We're covered at the moment. We're happy with what we're doing. We haven't got any budget. We don't outsource anything. We're not interested. Pretty cruel on that one. We have a preferred supplier list, if it's public sector. Send me an email, or I'm leaving the company next week. I've just started. We've just signed up with someone. I'm not the decision maker. I'm going to have to check with my boss. You'll probably get these more than anything. The objection may not be real. So what we need to do is we need to empathize that objection. Just test how real it is. Really give them a reason to continue speaking with you, and keep them on the phone. So it might be, you have to be on a preferred supplier list. Well, how do I get on that then? Because I'd love to be on it. When's the next tender coming up? 3 months. What do I do to get on it? Don't just think, oh, I've got to be on a preferred supplier list. Okay, I'll see you later. You've got to be persistent at this. Or, I'm not the decision maker. Well, who is then? If you're not, I'll want to speak with the decision maker. We can't speak to them. Well, what's the person's name? And then you can always circle back to the, to the gatekeeper and go back through that way. Or, I'm leaving the company next week. That's actually can be quite a good one. Oh, really? Congratulations. Where are you going to? Oh, yeah, I've heard of that company. Can I give you a call in a month or so? Yeah, brilliant. And who's taking your position here then? That's kind of double bubble. You're getting 2 leads out of 1 phone call there. Send me an email. Well, actually, I can do better than that. I'm visiting some businesses in a couple of weeks. I'll pop in and show you. You know, send me an email is pretty much the biggest fob off you can get, and you're wasting your time if people just want an email because they aren't interested. You just got to keep them on the phone. Find some common ground. As I said, charm them. You know, do a bit of research before the call. You know, that could be the key. Find out where they've worked, or you know, like what they're interested in through Twitter or Facebook or anything like that. Once you find that common ground, you'll definitely be able to keep them on the phone. And biggest thing of all is just don't lose your confidence. Remember, as Ben was saying earlier, this is a bit of a game. You know, don't get upset by nothing's going to happen. You're not going to die. Can't win them all. Come back to them another time. You know, they could be having a bad day. Loads of times I've done that where, you know, they might have been kept up all night with the kids, or they've been told off by the boss, or they're under pressure, anything like that. Yeah, you can kind of read, you know, how they're feeling. I'll tell you what, let me give you a call back in a week or so. I don't even tell you you're going to call back. Just ring back and say, we spoke last week, do you remember? I just wanted to have a bit of a catch up with you. Often they'll admire your tenacity about that. And if they're just not having anything, you know, I am not interested, particularly for who we speak to, marketing managers or marketing directors, we're just totally covered. If you've been following that company and you know your products or services are a good fit for them and they're missing out on something, go above them. You know, nothing, again, you got nothing to lose here. We've done it loads of times. Marketing director, no, we're not interested. We're happy with everything. But you've just told me you've got you know, a particular challenge. You're not getting the results on your SEO or your social media. Yeah, we're not interested. I'll ring the managing director and I'll start with, you know, back to the gatekeeper. Hi, is Peter around? Yeah, it's Andy. Yeah, put me through. And I'll be saying stuff. I spoke with Rob earlier, and I thought I'd better get in touch with you because I just wanted to explain what we're doing. You can really win business that way. Again, you just got to have a bit of brass neck about you, unfortunately. But it all comes with practice. Right, I said I'll come back to getting that meeting. You know, we've got through the decision maker, with the gatekeeper, we're through to the decision maker or potential decision maker. We found some common ground. We're getting on well. They've told me a problem. I know you've got a problem and I've got a solution for it. I need a meeting with you. What we'd say is, be a coffee salesman or salesperson. Don't sell your products or your services yet, because you need to just make them feel at ease. And, you know, you should hopefully have done a bit of research, like literally 5 minutes research before you've made the call. Understand a bit of their business or sector, show interest or passion for their sector. You know, we've worked with loads of businesses in that area. And once you make them feel at ease, you can then go for what we call the assumptive close. So rather than saying to someone, yeah, I know you've got a problem here. Can I have a meeting with you next Wednesday? It's kind of a yes or a no answer. And often it'll be no. If we're making them feel at ease, it'll be great. You know, you told me everything. I'd really like to have a coffee with you. I'm actually visiting a couple of businesses on Tuesday and Thursday next week. Which day is best for you? Often you're getting them thinking, which day is best for me? Well, Tuesday's out. Yeah, Thursday's best for me. Brilliant. Okay, I'll send you an invite and I'll see you then. Thanks very much. But it doesn't always go like that. Sometimes it's, I'm not free on Tuesday or Thursday. Oh, actually, I'm looking at my diary. I'm pretty close on Wednesday and Friday. Which day's best for you that way? Or if that doesn't work, go into the following week, Tuesday and Thursday again. It will work, believe me. But you're making them feel, as I said, at ease. I'm not selling products or services yet. It'd be great to have a coffee with you. It's dead interesting what you're telling me. I'd love to hear more, because people like to talk about the issues and that stuff like that. So just to summarize, and by the way, for people who are arriving late, you can download all of our webinars. Just go to our website. So there's a few templates on this one and on our others. So just have it printed out. A bit of the summary of what I've just said. You know, we've got the opener. How we go into identifying that common problem. Quick solution, not too much. You know, overcoming their objections that may not be real, but a lot of the time they are real. And then just arrange that meeting there on Tuesday and Thursday, which day's best. It'll work wonders for you. You take anything, practice that assumptive close, because they'll start nailing appointments. Right, let's talk you through how to be more successful in meetings. So I've just touched on this a little bit. It's kind of knowing your targets. So that research and prep. So we may have done a little bit beforehand, but if we've got a meeting in the diary, I want to do perhaps a little bit more. Things like checking their social. So I said, find out about them personally, what they like, what they don't like, where they've been at the weekend, what the family situation is, or, you know, what, you know, on LinkedIn or something, where did they work before? And have you got any common ground? I did it recently when I was a marketing manager for a big accountancy practice in Manchester. And I tried a couple of times, it wasn't happening. And I found out she worked at a previous company where I used to work. And it was, you know, when they said at the beginning, I worked for some very bad companies. It was one of those ones. We didn't work together at the same time, but it gave us some common ground. So I said, did you used to work at, I won't name the company. And she was like, yeah. And we had quite a good laugh about it because it was horrific. It was a horrific company. And we were able then to, you know, have a bit of a laugh about it. What is it you want anyway? Got a meeting out of it. So things like just stalking them a little bit for 15 minutes, it can do was look on the website as well. You often can get loads of information from the team section, you know, likes, dislikes, you know, name it, you know, when they do, try to be a bit quirky, name something that you wouldn't know about me, you know, I can stand on my head for 2 minutes, that type of thing. You can just relate it to that particular call. So knowing your target is really, really important. Virtual meetings at the moment, you know, that's how it is. Virtual meetings, Zooms, Teams, Skype, that type of thing. I'm just going to a couple of bullet points here that you will know, but, and it's pretty much common sense, but just to be on the safe side, check your tech, first of all. If you've got a meeting, make sure you've got that good connection. For those who don't know, you can just type internet speed test, and it'll tell you how many megabytes you're uploading and downloading. We do it all the time, especially when we do these webinars, because a couple of weeks ago, it was really, my bandwidth was really low, and I had to, you know, people could see me, but I had to reboot my router. And if I hadn't done, it would have just been jumping in and out all the time. There's nothing worse, especially if it's a first meeting with someone, and you've asked them a question and they're telling you things, and you can't hear me. You don't really want to say, can you just repeat that? Or can you repeat that for the second time? I'm just going to get annoyed. So just check it. If you're doing a presentation, make sure you're ready to go. Make sure you've got backups. You know, don't fumble. Check your frame. So that is, you know, what you can see. So have a tidy or interesting background, or use a virtual background. Have something, you know, I always like to have golf club. I don't know if you can see them actually. I have golf clubs there just in case anyone says, actually, I'm doing a golf day in a couple of weeks. Do you mind having a game with me, or make up the teams, because I just like getting out and playing golf. Dress appropriately as well. So, you know, check their website, see what their vibe is. You know, people are still wearing suits to these type of things. So just see, you know, do a bit of stalking, you'll be able to see how they are, and then you can mirror them or match them. Common stuff, really, common sense. Now, attending real meetings. Again, a couple of things that you'll be aware of, but, you know, if you've got a meeting booked, you've made that phone call, that cold call, you know, are you meeting at their premises? Are you meeting in a hotel? Or is it a coffee shop? You know, is it informal? Because if you're meeting at a coffee shop and there's a couple of them and a couple of you, and they're expecting a presentation, or, you know, it was agreed you'd do a presentation, loads of things on the table, you've got to hold your laptop up and start doing that. There's nothing worse. You put off from the very beginning. So, you know, you can ask all these questions. People think that, well, I've got a meeting, or I don't want to ask anymore in case they cancel the meeting. Just check. Yeah, how are they going to know it's you? So can you identify them? Again, checking the social just to make sure if it's the first time you've met them. And again, I've fallen foul of this. I've been in coffee houses and I've gone up to the person, hi, I'm Andy Smith from Royal Flush Marketing. That wasn't the person at all. So, you know, make sure you just have a look at their social. If it's at theirs, goes without saying, be on time, not too early. 15 minutes is max, 30 minutes is far too early, can be that guy sat in reception. Checking ahead, route, traffic, parking. You know, can you park outside the offices, or have you got to park in the NCP? You know, if you are running late, it can be a nightmare. What are they expecting to see as well? So if we've had that phone call, are they expecting a presentation from the beginning? As I said, if you're around the coffee table, or is it just an informal chat? Be specific when you're speaking to people. Do you need IT as well? You know, have you got to plug into their screens? Do you need someone from IT to do this? Again, there's nothing worse than sat there messing around with tech for 15 minutes and the boardroom's just silent. Goes without saying, be nice to everyone. You know, from the receptionist, you know, they're going to basically feed back on you. So make sure everyone you meet, big hellos and all this stuff. You might have seen a couple of times, a guy turned up for an interview and there was one space in the car park and two people going for it. And one of the blokes, he was running late for the interview. So he just told this guy to F off and went in the space, and this guy just drove off. And as he got to the boardroom, the guy who was interviewing him was the actual person who he just told to F off. I don't know if you've seen that before. So, you know, you never know who it is. Be nice to everyone. When you're walking through anyway, read the room. What's the atmosphere like? Are they playing music? Have they got tallies up? Or is it really, really quiet? Is there a sales deal, or people having a laugh and a joke? That all depends. That could just be the key to winning something. If you see what's going on, or how, it'll give you an idea of how that meeting is going to pan out. Again, dress appropriately, suits in a casual environment are as bad as casual in a formal environment. But ultimately, don't be what you're not. Just be yourself. Meeting etiquette. Make sure you get some small talk in at the very beginning. Don't just go straight into it. Things like where to sit. You know, what was your weekend like? Again, presenting. IT's there to fail. So have backups. Laptop. Have on a dongle. Have it on email. And another good one is doorknob conversations, because they can be gold. You know, afterwards when the meeting's finished and you're all relaxed and you go to open the door and turn around, and that's when you can get some real. Everyone's relaxed now, and you can really start to have so we do it all the time. You can have another 15, 20 minutes with someone. You get loads more information out of them, or they learn something about you. So don't just switch off as soon as the meeting ends, all the way to the car door. Right, last bit from me for a second, and then we'll get back over to Ben. But taking a brief, again, you can download this. There's 3 types of brief that you can take. It doesn't matter, you know, we call it taking briefs in our industry, but whatever products or services you've got, it's basically a set of questions that you're going to ask somebody in order to determine whether you're right for them, they're right for you. So 3 types of brief: one that they've prepared, one that they give verbally, and the best one is one that you take without them realizing you're taking it. So the first one is, if they send, you know, you might have spoke to someone, or there's an email saying, I'm going to send you a brief. We're looking for your products or services. We're going to send a brief to a number of people. I'd like you to pitch for the work. It's amazing. You've got that. But what I would say is still push for that meeting. Get in front of them, because it's a chemistry meeting. You know, you need to make that connection. You need to have those conversations so you find out even more about the brief. It's going to give you the edge, especially if you're pitching against other businesses. You know, you'll often find lots of information once you've got that brief, once you speak to them, that they didn't put in the brief. But because the other companies didn't push for that meeting, they don't know what you know. So you've got one up there anyway. Just question. If they give you a verbal brief over the phone or something, or, you know, face to face, still ask loads of different questions, and there'll be loads of relevance on what you can download from there. You know, have a format. This is what we use, and we've still got loads more that we ask to this. What do you need to know? Is everything that they want to tell you on their brief. And if it's not, fill in the blanks. Just don't assume anything, question everything. The most important question is why. Now, the undercover brief is basically what we do most of the time. So especially if you're cold calling or speaking to people cold, once you've got that meeting, it'd be great to have a coffee with you. Well, my objective there is to take a brief so that I can put a proposal together, so that I can pitch to them, so I can win their business. And the reason I'm doing that is because in that first call, they told me they'd got a problem, because someone's always got a problem with it at work. And if you've got that solution, then brilliant. So when you're having that informal coffee, all I'm doing is asking questions. So what are your marketing objectives then? What are the business objectives? Tell me more about your challenges. What's the tone of your voice? How do you speak to clients? How many clients have you got? What's your turnover? I'm building up this basic database of this business. And once I've got that, brilliant, you just told me all this. So based on what you told me, I can actually put a proposal together for you, and I'll come and present it to you, because I know you've got all these issues. Does that sound right? Well, let's get it in the diary for 2 weeks. It's amazing how many meetings like we turn up to cold for a coffee, and I come out with a brief, and then I come out with a proposal, and then we win the work. So it's a really easy way, because not everyone has that brief ready for them to give you straight away, but you can get it out to people. You know, when you're doing this type of thing, you can drop in relevant examples. We're not about selling here. Once you take that brief, check the brief back with them, qualify the information that you've taken. And also as well, be honest with yourself. Can you actually deliver what they want? Sometimes, you know, we can't. It's really hard for you to walk away from it, I suppose. You know, you've put a lot of time and effort in now, you know, getting past the gatekeeper, having that initial conversation, having that initial meeting, taking all these details. Actually, I don't want to pass up on this, but, you know, it can come back to bite you in the bum eventually. So, yeah, be honest with yourself. If you can't do it, walk away politely. And be clear with them as well. If you do want a proposal, how long is it going to take for you to deliver this proposal? Some people might say, I want it next week. Don't be afraid to push back. It's going to take me a bit more time. Give me 2 weeks, and under promise and over deliver. And then what are the next steps? Are you signing up there and then? Who am I up against? Are you the decision maker? That type of thing. It's just it's questioning. Question everything. Then.
Just going to give you an example in a B2C context, because this is all quite B2B at the moment. But actually, taking a brief from a customer in a shop or a gym or hairdressers, wherever, is equally important, and you can do the undercover brief just the same. Essentially, they've already shown interest by being on the premises or coming up to you if you're at an exhibition or whatever. So if you want to try and understand the undercover brief in order to help you sell on a one-to-one sort of basis, have a think about what it is that that person is trying to achieve by buying your products. I'll use the gym as an example. If they're coming into your gym to have a look around, they've got certain criteria that they're thinking about. So as well as the environment and the kind of gym it is, what are the activities that they're doing? You can push a little bit deeper into that. What's the purpose of them going to the gym? Are they trying to improve strength? Are they trying to improve fitness? Are they trying to lose weight? Are they trying to tone? There's all kinds of things that we can be thinking about when we're having a chat with that customer. Now, the likelihood is they're going to be asking you questions about your facility, about what it is that you offer. But actually, there's still some things that you need to find out from them so that you can give them the right kind of information that's going to make it easier for them to progress. So once again, going a little bit further and turning it round so that you can give the best advice. We're trying to be helpful here. That's the key part to the sale. We're not giving them the hard sale straight away. What we're trying to do is make them realize that this is the right kind of choice for them. And in order to do that, we need to make sure it is the right choice for them. I've got a really good pal who works in Cotswold. It's an outdoor shop that sells all kinds of gear. And he actually does a lot of negative selling. And by negative selling, what I mean is when somebody's looking at a particular type of waterproof jacket or hiking boot, he'll go up to them and ask them the kind of activity that they're doing, whether they run hot or cold, what kind of area they're working in, you know, whether they're going to be hiking in the Scottish mountains or the Alps, or whether it's for walking the dog, what kind of thing are they doing? And what he'll often say is, this isn't the right jacket for you. What you'll tend to find is this, you know, well, if you're in the Scottish Highlands, it's going to let water in quicker than this other jacket over here. And so he's not afraid to say negatives about really good pieces of kit that they sell, because what he's trying to do is give them the best experience possible. And because of that, he's probably one of the most effective salespeople for Cotswold, because everybody wants his advice. He's prepared to be honest. He's prepared to say when something doesn't work, and he's prepared to say when something isn't right. He's even prepared to sell them a lower price product because that's the right thing for them. So he's thinking beyond that initial sale, and he's prepared to lose that sale if it's the right thing to do. And that's really, really important for this, because what you don't want to do is have someone buy something that they don't really need and then give you a bad review. So when, as a result of the way that this particular friend of mine sells, he gets lots of people saying, go to Cotswold, make sure you ask for Jim Bob, because he gives you loads of really good advice. It's a really important thing that we can do when we're selling one-to-one. We're still trying to find out about the person. We're still trying to be interested in them, and we're being interesting by being helpful and by being useful. And that's a really good way to do a soft conversion, because you're not hitting them with the hard thing. We hate that car salesman or double glazing window sales approach where it's just absolutely pushing for the sale all the time. It's all they're thinking about. They don't care about you. If you start to do it this undercover brief way, you're going to actually come across a lot better to people, and that makes you more trustworthy. It makes you more considerate. It makes you much easier to buy from. So let's now just talk about proposals and pitching, because this is something that a lot of businesses have to do. And before we even get into writing a proposal, and I've made this mistake many, many times, repeatedly made this mistake, I've not done enough research. And because I've not done enough research, I've not really understood what some of the context. And it's something I've really learned over the years is go a little bit further. For a small amount of time, you can learn a lot more about the business, and you can align the aspects of your services or your products to what suits them. And if you also know a little bit about their sector, things like big changes that have happened, or things that are happening in the news within their industry, or even their competitors, you're going to sound a lot more informed when you come across, because you're going to be a lot more informed. And not just that, you might also be thinking about who's going to be in the pitch. Do I need to research them? Do I need to know their business? We often, when we're writing customer profiles for B2B, we're thinking about who it is that's going to be in the meeting, because there might be several decision makers. We might have an IT person in the meeting. We might have a delivery person, a salesperson, and an MD, and a marketing person. They've all got different factors that they're thinking about. They also all got different challenges, responsibilities within their job. So we might want to appeal to the IT guy on a more technical level, but the MD might not want all of that information because they're much more strategic in their decision making. So we're trying to give a balance of information across when we're writing a proposal or we're doing a pitch. And when it comes to clear and concise proposals, in the early days of writing these, we'd waffle on about our business, you know, going back 10, 15 years or whatever. I'd be writing why it's really important that we use this particular technology. Most of the time, they don't care. What they really want is to go to the budget page and see what the price is. So we're not able to demonstrate the really key information that they're going to absorb, that they're going to take on board. So I'm going to give you an example now, and I want you to tap into chat. Let's say you've just won a holiday to Hawaii. What are the first three things that you think about when you picture this holiday in Hawaii? Just tap a few examples into chat. What are you thinking about if you've won a holiday to Hawaii? There's got to be some people out there tapping. Where can I go in Hawaii? Yeah. Anybody else? What do you think of Hawaii holiday? Say the obvious stuff. Relaxation. Getting there. Clothes. Will it be hot? Beach. Exactly. These are the kind of things that you think about. And what you're doing in a proposal is essentially sell them Hawaii. Now, a lot of people don't think immediately about getting up at 2 a.m. to go off to the local airport. They don't think about 2 hours of queues standing to check in. They don't think about 8 to 10 hours on a flight with the feet bunched up because they've not got a lot of leg room. There's lots of things that are going on that are part of that journey, but you're not thinking about them when you're thinking about buying a holiday to Hawaii. What you're thinking about is sun, sea, sand. Be careful, Ben. Cocktails, all that kind of stuff. They're the kind of things that we want. We're thinking about the benefits. We're thinking about the pleasure and the joy of the purchase, what we're actually going to get from it. And it's the same with a proposal. So sell them Hawaii. Don't give them all the extraneous nonsense. Don't try and demonstrate how much you know about your particular industry or your service or your product. Think about what's in it for them, how they're going to benefit, how long it'll take, and what it'll cost. Make it clear and concise, because if you write a 16-page proposal, I guarantee you they're probably not going to read it all. So really take that into consideration when you're writing your proposals. Cut to the quick. What's in it for them? How long will it take? What's it going to cost? That's really important. So then we get to actually choosing your pitch team. So if you've got to go in and pitch to somebody, a common complaint that we hear from clients is, oh, we get pitch team A and delivery team B. So basically, we get the smooth talkers come into the meeting, but the people that are knowledgeable, the people that we buy into, actually, they're not going to deliver the product. They're not going to deliver the service. So are we just going to get a load of juniors that are doing this for us that we don't even know? So if possible, try and take someone from the delivery team. Perhaps somebody's really good at communicating. Perhaps they're good with other people. Maybe take them along if they're going to be the person that's delivering. And if they're not able to go for whatever reason, or you don't want to put them in front, include their profiles in the pitch. Sell them in as well as the service or the product, because they're really important. They're the people that are going to be dealing with them. So it's really important that you get that across, and they'll appreciate you for it because they know who they're dealing with. People buy people. So it's really key that you get the people across that are actually going to be doing it. And then we come to presentations itself. Now, with presentations, it's really easy to put so much information in there because that's the way you're thinking. And we always see death by PowerPoint, too many words on the screen. And what tends to happen with too many words on the screen is everybody's reading ahead of you. And if everybody's reading ahead of you, they're not necessarily paying attention. So you're probably reading the words that are on the screen now, and my voice just becomes a kind of monotone thing, and it sort of disappears off into the background, and you're reading about the drone, and the thing is you're still interested, and those kind of things that we're talking about there. And if I asked you to recall the word deck chair a little bit later on, you might not be able to do that because you've not really been paying attention, and maybe I'd been talking about a really funny time when Andy met Donald Trump, and as we do that, you start to come back into hearing my voice, because you've read it all, but you've missed some of the things that I've said. You've not really paid attention. So what's doing the sale here? Is it me or is it the screen? Because the screen's a lot colder than I am in person. So did anyone catch the key word that I asked you to type into the chat, for example? One person's definitely there. They said deck chair. So we did have somebody paying attention. A few more. That's good. You get the point though, don't you? If you're reading along with the presenter on the screen, you're not necessarily thinking about what they're saying. You're not necessarily paying attention to that. So don't do read with mother. Use less words on your screen. I'm not saying don't use any, because bullet points can be quite good for letting people know what's coming up so they can sort of relax and listen to what you're saying, without switching off. The other thing that we often do is use cue cards or crib sheets. I'm reading from one now. Now, a crib sheet or a cue card is just enough to help you keep on track, but also to let you ad lib. So if a change happens, you can adapt to it. If somebody enters the room and disrupts the meeting, you don't completely lose your flow. Where was I on the script? If you're presenting in person, it means that you can be looking at the camera, or you can be looking at the people in the room rather than just looking down at a piece of paper or looking back at a screen. They're the little things that separate the people just starting off from the people that have done this for a while. And you'll see good presenters, you'll see the difference between them. A big key thing is everybody sat in the chair knows the pain of presenting, whether that's to 10 people or 1,000 people. We all appreciate that fear of stuttering, of making a mistake, of, you know, it all going wrong. So they feel for you, they want you to do well, which means it can give you the confidence to be able to talk in front of people. And don't be afraid to take a drink. Adding a pause can give people chance to catch up. We're all spinning at a really high pace right now because we're all listening, we're taking things on board, we're contextualizing it with our business. I'm thinking about what I've got to say next, checking the cue card. Do I need to move the screen on? Looking at all of you on the webcams or whatever. There's a lot of information that we're taking on board, and taking a pause and slowing down enables us all to catch up, enables us to relax. So another thing that's really important to do is practice, practice, practice. Don't just write a presentation and not practice it, or practice it in the car on the way, or just try and wing it. Because the more you practice something, the better you're going to get at it. We've done 22 of these webinars now. We still make mistakes, but that's okay because we keep practicing. And the more we're doing it, the better we're getting at doing it. For us, it was really foreign because we're used to doing it in person. So doing it to a cold, inanimate object like a computer felt really strange at first, but now we're really getting used to doing it. And incidentally, doing it on Zoom is actually much better because we can see people. A lot of the webinars we do, they're not on Zoom. They're just a voice out into the ether with no response. That really changes things as well. So try different formats of presenting. Pitch to your team. They'll be able to tell you where you need to make improvements. Another great thing, switch it up. You know, change your tone of voice. If you're really going for an excited bit or you want to wake people up, raise your volume, change your pace. You know, add some excitement and some energy into it so you don't just become that boring, monotonous drone that people can switch off from. Change the speed at which you talk because it helps people to focus on specific areas. And also use other people within your team. Andy and I are switching it between us so that you're getting a different voice and a different delivery, because that helps to keep people engaged. It helps to keep the energy levels up and it helps to keep it interesting. So really simple little things that you can do if you're pitching to a potential client, really good to do. And even in a shop, you can bring somebody in that's more knowledgeable than you on a specific subject, and it adds interest to the thing. It makes people get that social vibe and a bit more engagement into the situation. Perhaps if you are reading that person and you're seeing that they're not really engaged, perhaps you can put them onto somebody else. It's a team thing. You know, that person might be better at working with that type of person than you are. Some people are visual thinkers, some people are oral thinkers, some people are emotive thinkers. You'll hear it in the language. When people say, look, this is what we're doing, they may be a visual person. If they talk about that sounds good, they might be more of an oral person. If they talk about that feels good, then they might be more of an emotive person. So think about what you are and how the words that you use. Are you a visual thinker? And you're talking to somebody who's more of an emotive thinker, perhaps pass them across to your colleague who's more emotive and touchy-feely. So we buy off different types of people. Another great thing you can do is pitch theatre. Now, we often come across the case where we'll get a brief and there'll be 3 or 4 marketing agencies that are also pitching for that same client. And how do you stand out? There's loads of things that we've done here. Our premises, we had, when we were at Peppermint Soda, we had an aroma machine that pumped the smell of peppermint around the building. Not too strong because we didn't want people's eyes watering, but it just gave that vague sense of peppermint. It was just a little bit of extra enforcement. We had our whole music was lots of snippets of children's TV from the 70s and 80s because we wanted people smiling when they were arranging to come and see us. You know, so if we had to put them on hold, they had Mr. Ben or Thundercats or whatever. It made them smile. It made us memorable. And we even did things like we had Bear Grylls Survival Academy coming up to see us. And the week that they were coming up to see us, all this blooming scaffolding went up outside the building and there was no way we could get it taken down. It's going to look a right mess. So we just adapted. We got a climbing rope, we tied it on, dropped the climbing rope down the scaffolding, and we put a daft sign on saying Bear Grylls Survival Academy up the rope. All of the visitors use the door. Little things to make it memorable and make us stand out. Now, it might be that you're pitching an idea to them, so perhaps you want to bring that idea to life. It might be something else that you do, a little gift that you leave, or something considerate and thoughtful and useful. We once did a pitch to a company down in London. It was near Christmas time, and we thought, what can we do? We really want to win this. So we got an old briefcase and we filled it with chocolate coins because obviously near Christmas. And we made a joke of it in the thing. We'd really like this business. Obviously, we know it's we don't want to give you a bribe, but there's a little something in the suitcase for you there, in the briefcase, that you know, might go some way towards it. And they opened it up, it's full of chocolate money, and we all had a good giggle, and we won the brief. So little things that you can do to make you stand out from the other people that are going to be pitching to them. Another key thing when you're pitching, choose the best time slot. First thing in the morning, people haven't quite woken up. Maybe it's a bit of an intrusion on the day. Last thing before lunch, people are getting hungry. You know, they're hungry and they're grumpy. Not the best time to be pitching to someone. End of the day, they're thinking about getting home, sort the kids out, make dinner, whatever. So think about your time slots. Ask the question, because it can make a big difference between winning and losing. And when you're actually in the pitch itself, check your timing. You know, ask how long have I got? If they don't give you a time, then ask, are we okay to continue at some point throughout, you know, 45 minutes or whatever. Ask, and never go over your time slot. That's going to irritate people. Really simple things that we've definitely made those mistakes over the years. People have other things to do, so make sure you're considerate of that. And read the room. There might be multiple decision makers in there. If you're just talking to the boss and ignoring everybody else, then only that they're going to feel that you're not giving them the attention. So make sure your eyes are going to each person, include them. Even if it's just switching every 10, 30 seconds, whatever, make sure you're talking to everybody, make them feel included, and they'll feel warmer towards you. And as Andy said, that doorknob conversation is really important. It's a great chance for you to make that personal connection when everyone's relaxed, to get that extra bit of information that might help you overcome a challenge on the spot. And always ask for the deal. You put all that time and effort in. We'll come back to that in a minute, but definitely don't be afraid to ask for the deal on the day. Finally, I'm just going to add something just from personal experience. We've had people coming to pitch to us many times, and there's one particular occasion where there was a group of people that came, and they were dead nice, really lovely people. We had a great meeting with them, and then they walked out the building. The first thing they did was they all sparked up a cigarette outside the door, and then they're all laughing and joking amongst themselves, and it just took the professional edge off the whole thing. So you're being observed the whole time, even up to your car door. Make sure that you're on your own game all the time, because those little things make a big lasting impression, and it can be the difference between winning the deal and losing it. So let's talk about closing. Andy.
Yeah, Ben just mentioned then, you've put all the hard work in. If you think about it, you know, you've gone through a load of processes. You've researched someone, you know, you've made initial contact. You might have had a difficult conversation with the gatekeeper. You've got through to the decision maker. You've gone through all the efforts to get a meeting. You've got a meeting. You've took notice. You've done all the research. You put a proposal together. You've presented it. That's a lot of time out of your day, out of your week or 2 weeks. A lot of work goes into that. And then you've just pitched to them. So we've got to ask for the deal. Don't be scared. There's far too many. When we used to work at Peppermint when I first started, I wasn't leading the pitch team at that particular time. And I'd go in with the account managers and account directors and we'd do a proposal. And then they'd go, right, have a look at it and make a decision in a couple of weeks and come back to us. And I used to pull my hair out. You've got to ask for the deal because you might just win it there and then. As I said, you've invested a lot of time. You should have a really good relationship with them by now. We know the hobbies, we've got similar interests, that type of thing. Don't leave it open-ended. It's the worst thing you can do because it gives them time to forget you, especially if there's a few other businesses coming in as well. You're fresh in the mind. You're right in front of them. Why would they need any more time to consider? If you've done the best you can possibly do and you're right for that business, what is it you've got to consider? Voice any of your concerns now and I'll answer them. I'm here in front of you. Let's not do it in a couple of weeks behind email or behind the phone. Obviously I wouldn't be going in that strong, but I'm sat in front of you. I'd hate for you to think that we've missed something here. What is the issue? Now often they already know if they're gonna be working with you or not, or if it's between you or someone else. So try and eliminate that competition. For them, they've perhaps got another 3 2-hour meetings to sit through. And do they really want to do that? So really just get it all out in the open and have that conversation. Don't just pick up your proposal and walk away. Ask what's it going to take to close the deal and start work today? Because normally there's a bedding in period where the team have to immerse themselves and we have to arrange other meetings, and there can be a lag of 2 weeks to a month. If you know what their challenges are, which they told you in the first meeting, it might be we need to increase footfall, we need to increase turnover, we need to get the brand out because our competition is squashing us at the moment. Why are we going to wait another month then? You've told me all these things. We can mobilize straight away, get the kickoff meeting booked in, and we can go now. So just try and incentivize them a little bit, but without dropping the knickers. We don't want to just go straight into, well, we can lower our fees if you want to. Sometimes though, you might have to, well, what we would say is be prepared to negotiate. So what is it that's preventing you from going ahead? Is it, and let them answer that, but it's probably going to be money or team. But you can have these open and honest conversations. It's better to have them now than a few months down the line. And find out their hidden objections. Again, they aren't always forthcoming with them, and often they'll hide behind deferrals. So keep it simple as well. Don't over elaborate when you are answering objections. Just answer them honestly. Also as well, and we've had this a few times, check that decision making. Now you may have checked in the past and they said, yeah, I am, but you've got to them and they said, well, it has got to go to the managing director. There's nothing worse than that. I put all this time and effort in. Why aren't I pitching to that guy? So ask if he's about, or can I come back next week and I'll represent it again. That's not a problem. It's nothing worse than them passing your proposal over to someone you've got no relationship with, doing a second-hand presentation, because they won't do it as well as you will. And again, I mentioned this earlier, just double check. We've got this far now, we're invested in this company. Is the business right for you? From what you've seen, what you've heard, how they've been with you, are they going to be a difficult client constantly on you, not letting you do your job, picking at everything? So is the value worth all the effort? And can you deliver this? Again, that being honest. Sometimes there could be a lost leader. It's hard, to learn on the job. So you will, it's hard to walk away, but sometimes it is right for the business. And just have it in the back of your mind if they are being particularly difficult. And as we said, with all these, from getting through to the decision maker to getting past the gatekeeper, you can't win them all. In our industry, I think it's a 1 in 5 conversion rate is pretty good. Ours is 1 in 3, so we're ahead of the curve. But again, we don't win them all. So if you don't, really gutted we haven't won it. What did we do wrong? Where can we improve for next time? So you're learning all the time. Just don't get down about it.
Ultimately, everybody on this webinar is going to be interested in increasing their sales. Everybody is. Any business wants to increase their sales. More money means more security, more chance to expand, do other things, maybe retire earlier, whatever it is. And quite often what we see, particularly working with the clients that we work with, is they're missing out on opportunities that are right in front of them. So cross-selling is a massive part of this. It's much easier to cross-sell with people who've already experienced how good you are, how brilliant your service is, than it is to try and bring in new sales all the time. Think of it like a bucket, but it's got a hole in the bottom. So you're pouring water in the top and it's slowly draining out the bottom. So what you're doing is you're keeping pouring more and more water in the top, and you're chasing that new business. Meanwhile, maybe you're not looking after your customers, or perhaps there's an expiration period on them being a customer or a client. You're not cross-selling to them, and so that hole in the bucket isn't getting plugged up. So it's much better to try and cross-sell with existing people, much easier, because they already know you. They already like you, because otherwise they wouldn't be a customer. So cross-selling is a really big part, and incredible that even big businesses don't do this particularly. But don't look straight away. Don't just dive in there as soon as they bought from you. Perhaps they bought one particular product or service. You don't want to then start shoving lots of other products and services in the face. The timing might not be right. So use this as a chance to develop your relationship. Use that CRM, whether it's HubSpot or a spreadsheet, whatever it is. Put in information about that person. What are their challenges? What are they doing at the moment? What are the big things happening with their company or in their lives? That's going to give you lots of information and help you understand the timing of when to introduce something else. So then you can start to cross-sell. So don't be afraid to make people aware of the other services that you offer, but just don't shove it down the throat straight away. Really good thing about value added service is it's thoughtful. It gives the extra mile. And there's lots of things you can do to do this, to improve customer retention, to improve cross-selling, that kind of stuff. First of all, back to the relationships. You know, we always bang on about the customer. The customer comes first, all that kind of thing. And actually, a lot of the time people, they know the customer comes first, but they don't understand why the customer comes first. It's all about relationships. So a couple of things that we do, I'll give you an example. We were working for JCB Finance. We were doing something called Plant Match, which when they've got used diggers and they want to redistribute those used diggers, that you can lease them if you're a small business. And rather than paying 100 grand for a tipper truck or something like that, you can, it's an affordable thing for smaller construction companies. And we did that with JCB Finance. So we used to go to Staffordshire, and we'd have meetings with them, and they were quite regular. We'd do it every Thursday, and we'd make the effort to go down and see them. So it meant that we would always be visiting their premises, and we'd have to walk through this big open plan office with lots of different departments. There was parts, there was new sales, there was European sales as well, and we'd walk right the way through all the middle of it. And because we got seen every Thursday, people got used to us, and we started to have a bit of banter with them, some conversations. We'd start to get to know who those people were. So we'd be like, all right, Dave, nice sandwich today. You know, he's stuffing his face at his desk, or someone's got balloons above the desk. Oh, is it your birthday? Happy birthday. That kind of stuff. What are you up to? And we get conversations going with these people. In fact, we had better conversations with these people than their colleagues in finance had. We knew more of them. And because of that, we could start to have conversations with them. And it gradually, we had to get there earlier and earlier, because it'd take us half an hour to get to our meeting. So if we had a meeting at 10, we'd be there at 9:30, because it'd take us half an hour to get across the floor. And we used to joke about it with the finance team. We got business from the parts department. We got a website to do for the new sales department. And we even got a brochure to do for the European sales department, all off the back of walking the floor. Being part of our customers' environment gave us that opportunity. And in the past, we've had people go in and sit and work in their space for a week or a day a month or whatever, because it helps them understand the environment, but it also helps them to become a colleague of the client. And when they're a colleague of the client, they get to learn more about them. They build that trust and that relationship. So if you get the opportunity to work in their space, do it. It opens up doors. It demonstrates your commitment to them, and it really helps you to identify opportunities where you can sell. And also, don't be afraid to keep people in the loop. This is going back to that email marketing side of things, or your website, or your social media, or just the phone conversations that you might have. Let them know about your successes. Oh yeah, we just launched this great website for somebody. You should have a look at it. Send them the link. Let people know about the other things that you do, because really, very common problem is people sell them one specific service and never tell them about anything else they do. We've done it ourselves, made that mistake. And then we suddenly find out they've got a new website being launched. Why didn't we tell them we do websites? Crazy what we miss. And they're just going to other people. So keep people in the loop. Another great thing, be proactive. Something we used to do on a Friday, we'd have a couple of beers with the team and we'd discuss how all the clients are going. Nice, relaxed environment. People are just doing an update on their clients, what's going on, what's happening in their industry, so that people can fire ideas. And what we'd often do is think, this would be really good for our client. They'd really benefit from this. We'd have Google alerts set up about their sector or industry, keywords, so that Google can tell us things that are going on. Really simple tool, really good tool to have. And then we'd drop them news articles that were relevant, or we'd come up with ideas and pitch them to them. It just demonstrated that we're not just doing what we're told, we're being proactive, we're thinking about them, and they loved it. Something we always do now, just thinking a bit further, suggesting ideas and saying, well, you could do this, but this might be a better solution for you. And that all adds to customer retention. What you're trying to do is plug that hole in the bucket. You're trying to keep your customers for longer, because then you don't have to go hunting new business, which, let's face it, is very distracting if you're also doing the delivery. So the more you can add value, the more you're going to retain your customers, the less new customers you've got to try and get. Andy.
Now, I'll just touch on this slightly. I don't know the stages of the business that you're at the moment. You might not have, one salesperson, let alone a team. But hopefully, I don't know whether the aim is to grow and people are going to take care of the sales. So I'll just run through it briefly. If you do get to that stage, we'll start off with telesales, what to expect from them. So, value, we talked at the very beginning, the sales can be the most important role. And the salesperson can be the most important person in the business. Goes without saying, treat them well, be fair about basic and commission, and make it worth their while. For some reason with telesales, they get stuck in the corner and they get beaten with a stick. Get in there, make calls, and don't come out of your cave until 5:30 or whatever it is. Remember, this isn't their business, so they don't care as much as you do. The line in your pocket's not their own. So just try to keep them from getting distracted, keep them professional. Expectations from a telesales person is it's lead generation. They're appointment makers. They're not converters. They're not, writing proposals or going to meetings. And if you are getting someone, look at targets from the very beginning. So think about, what do you need? How many calls are going to make a meeting? How many meetings are going to turn into a proposal? How many proposals or pitches are going to convert into clients? Look at what the average value of your client is and what the cost of that telesales person is. And that is going to set your targets. I'll go back to that. As I said, I mentioned the very bad company I worked for. So I used to work, when I first moved to Manchester, I was selling business rates. So you might have had a few business rates calls. We can get your rates down, this, that, and the other. And you're dealing with MDs and financial directors, and you had to do 200 minutes a day on the phone, and you had to get 5 appointments every single day without fail. And you were beaten with a stick, but you didn't get a chair when you first, every morning when you walked into the office until you got your first sale. It was horrific. I mean, some people were stood up all week, and then on the Friday they were sacked because they couldn't do it. So, I'd advise you against being like that. I did learn quite a bit, but I don't think we're in then days and ages anymore. What you need to do is nurture and incentivize them. So salespeople, they thrive on encouragement and ultimately money. I said, don't beat them with a stick, but don't leave them to it. You've got to drive them. So you have got to monitor them closely. Things like just using a whiteboard. So we do it where draw the columns out. We prioritize things, cold, warm, and hot. So a cold is an initial meeting booked, warm is a date of the diary for a pitch, and hot is just pitched and we're waiting a decision. So you can get a good snapshot of how many leads that they're bringing in. If we have a look at a BDM, business development manager, these guys should be able to convert as well as generate leads. These guys are a step up, so give them a bit more free rein to manage their own day. Got to be organised. They're a step up from a telesalesperson. They probably learned their craft as a telesales, and now we're into the next stage. These guys should be going out to meetings and pitches all the time. Find out though, can they write proposals? Is that their strong points? It isn't always. So be clear from the beginning. There's going to be somebody else writing the proposal. They're just generating these meetings, but converting them as well. Results should do the talking. Ultimately, you don't need to question them all the time. Where have you been? How many have you done? Because you'll quickly see if they're just out having fancy lunches on your credit card or loads of coffees, and they're not generating business. You'll soon be onto that one. BDM should understand everyone's role within the business. So that's how you're going to get the most out of them. You're going to be managing proposals. They're going to be managing the pitch process, like arranging rehearsals, checking proposals. They've probably taken the brief, and if someone's writing a proposal, if it's the MD writing it, checking to make sure he's got all your information, checking that the budget's in there, that's correct. Don't just, go out and get another lead. They should also be keeping relationships with the clients. That's a massive part of them. So checking in on how's everything going. Cross-selling opportunities, they're a very valuable resource. And they can also be a valuable member of the senior team as well, because they know everything that's going on in the business. You should be asking for referrals from clients. They should be getting the delivery team to make sure they're asking for referrals. Really inspiring member of the team. They can, there's a fee that comes with them, but they can really get you a pipeline going and ultimately conversion and money in your bank account.
We find that certainly in the marketing world, creative agencies and stuff, BDMs, business development managers, are massively undervalued, but they're probably one of the most important people in the business, because as long as they're bringing the work in, you've got the delivery people to get the work out of the door, to look after clients. But you can get so distracted doing work that you forget to build that pipeline. And then all of a sudden you get to the end of the period of busy work and you've got no clients, particularly if you're project based. So it's really important to give these people the credibility that they deserve and look after them and make sure you've got a good salesperson in your team.
And certainly, actually, with COVID and lockdown and everything, everyone put the brakes on, the business, especially in marketing. Marketing was the first thing that got cut. Really, it shouldn't have been, because you need to stand out from your competition. You need a strategy on how to pivot the business. But just recently, I've seen so many businesses now advertising for the telesales and business development manager and business development director. I think what businesses are coming out of this now going, we need to do something, because we can't just, stay as we are. How long is COVID going to last? So it's, it's like spring, everything's just, the shoots are coming up and we're starting to get on with it. So, the businesses realize they need more business. And if you're not comfortable doing this yourself, then it's a good option for you. But there is another option, outsourcing sales. Loads of companies are doing this. Some are good, some are very bad. Just, it's a numbers game, but they're throwing crap at the wall. If you're going to look down this route, you've got to be clear with your brief. Again, write that brief. What is it that you want from this? And the business that you're employing to do your cold calling or your business development, you've got to take the time to fully understand your business. It's something that we do on everything, which is why we get the results, because we understand the business before we do anything else. That's not always possible with, when you're outsourcing, they just want, pay us and we'll get on the phone. But just check whether, what their ethos and how they act, that whether they're right for your business. A lot of the time they might have, 20, 16-year-olds just bashing the phones for you. It might not be the right thing for you. Like I said, there's good and bad in all of these. A lot of leads can come to nothing. So they might be getting 20 meetings a week, but nothing's happening. And it's just, like I said, it's a numbers game. So set a clear trial period. If you are going to do this, you don't want to be tied into something for 12, 24 months. So just negotiate and say, well, we'll try it for a month, 3 months at all, just to see how we are. And if it's not working, get rid. As I said, there's good and bad in all of these types of things. And just finally from me, if we do get up to the stage, then you've got to manage the performance of the team. So what I would say is, don't just go, right, I've got a sales team now, or I've got a business development manager, we're getting leads, I'm off over there, I'm doing delivery, I'm doing something else. You've got to keep hold of the reins. Little 5-minute daily meetings, and have perhaps a half-an-hour weekly meeting on a Friday or something like that. Put incentives in, like little small ones, bottle of wine, whoever gets the most on on Monday, half a day on a Friday for the person, who's got the most appointments in the whole week, or whoever converted the most. Leaderboards and awards are really good, bit cheesy, but we're competitive. They like to be at the top. So you'll often get 3 or 4 people vying for that top dog position. So you'll get more out of them. Is the clear progression for them in training. They don't want to just be on the phone for the rest of their lives. So offer those types of things. Remember, it's not the business, so they don't care as much as you do. Celebrate wins. I know a salesperson should sell, but even so, if they're bringing something in, celebrate everything. It can be a bit cheesy. Don't worry about it. Just keep that morale up. It's all high energy to get the best out of the salespeople. High energy. Have little re-energizers if you can. There might be. We often find table tennis or mini trampoline after that post-lunch lull, that type of thing. Or nice gestures. Just take them for a pint on a Friday. Just make them feel really valued. Don't let them get treated as the lowest scum in the office. Or if it's a big team as well, get the right leaders in place. What we often find is the best telesalesperson, the best salesperson is promoted to the team leader, and then he's managing them. But it doesn't always work out that way. What you're actually doing is taking your best person off the phone to manage a team. Why would you do that? So get the right person in place. So that's kind of it, really. I know, like I said, a lot of businesses won't be there yet, but something to bear in mind. Hopefully, you're all going to grow, and if sales is a bit of a struggle for you, there's a number of options.
And that's it for the webinar as well. We've covered all the different topics for today. We're coming up to 12 o'clock as well. Before we do finish up and move on to questions, so get tapping away if you've got a question, so it's going into the chat. We do have our social media playbook for those who are regulars. It's finally available. You can buy that now from our website. I think Andy's just fired the link into the chat. Everything you need to know to plan, write compelling content, to do it more efficiently, to grow your audience, all that kind of stuff. Loads of useful tips. If you've ever done our how to plan social and create compelling content webinar, this is the expanded version of that, really. Lots more detail, lots more tips, tools, tricks, techniques, and templates are in this. It's actually an ebook, so it doesn't look like that, but it's very difficult to show an ebook on the screen without doing a physical form. So yeah, have a look if you want some extra help, if you're doing your social media yourself. Really good. Lots of things that I've learned over the years working at various different agencies and client side for companies. It's up to date and it's current, so get yourself a copy. And finally, we'd always ask for a review. We've told you to do this yourselves, so we'd like to do it ourselves. This has come to you for free, so make sure you give the BIPC their feedback that they need to be able to keep funding these things, and that's ultimately going to help businesses like yourselves. We're a small business too, and we really need good reviews to be able to keep being able to do what we're doing. Not just webinars, but also marketing strategies and branding and websites and all sorts of stuff. So we'd really appreciate if you could take a couple of minutes. Again, Andy's fired the link in there. Just click it. Takes 2 minutes or less to give us a review. And yeah, thanks very much for joining us today. We really appreciate it. If you've got any questions, please do fire them into the chat. And we'll do our best to answer them. I'll just have a look back and see if we've got any questions in there.
What was anybody is anyone doing their own sales at the moment? Are they thinking about jumping on the phone or thinking about, outsourcing or getting a telesales person? Is anyone at that stage yet? How are you finding doing it? Are you struggling? Has this been useful to you?
Yeah, let us know. I'm going to unmute everybody. Well, I asked to unmute. So
Gavin wants to say something, I think.
Gavin's always got questions for us. We love bringing you up into the forefront, Gavin.
Yeah, no, thanks for the webinar. Yeah, it's not something we do currently, but yeah, something we've always thought about. Sort of doing proactive cold calling. Everything we do is more reactive, like from recommendations or people coming across our website. So yeah, it's great to get an insight on how to do it, because it's something we've always thought about.
Do you sell lots of different services as well?
Yeah, quite a bit. I mean, it's all sort of to do with online infrastructure and hosting, domain names. Yeah, no sort of application services. So like the people, our customers all have their own developers or are developers themselves. So it's all about the infrastructure, but associated services, so sort of email and sort of hosting. Yeah.
Do you find that they buy all of your services, your clients?
No. So some just have certain bits. Yeah.
And is that something that your team do? Do they cross sell or part of it?
Not actively. If the customer wants it or it comes up, we need to solve this problem. It's like, oh yeah, we've got a solution for that. But yeah, it's not. We don't actively go out and try and push things on people. It's just, yeah.
It's much more passive then, basically.
Yeah, definitely. And yes, so all this is like pretty alien to us, really, but really interesting.
I think that's the thing. Most of this is common sense, and it's probably stuff we know. It's at the back of our head, but just by doing these webinars and by discussing it and things, it brings it to the forefront of your mind. And certainly, we've done several times. Is just think about our customers and go, wouldn't they benefit from that? Do they have that already? No, they don't. Well, let's tell them. And just the simple act of telling them was enough to convert them into an extra service or whatever. So it's really useful to do it every now and then. And I'll tell you a really good one, actually. This isn't really from our webinar, but we spoke to this to the accountants, and they were talking about culling clients, which seems quite foreign. And obviously we want to try and gain as much business as we can, but sometimes certain clients can make you counterproductive. And so what they said was, right, what we want to do is we want to get you to put all of your clients into a definitely keep pile, a maybe pile, and a get rid of pile. Which clients of yours are hard work? Which of them don't appreciate you? Which of them don't you charge enough for? Well, all those kind of criteria. So we set about doing it with the accountant in the room, right? These are our different clients. And we put most of them into yes. We had a few in maybe, and we had one or two in no. And they said, right, go and fire all your clients in the maybe pile and the no pile. And we went, whoa, why? And they said, because they're not good clients and they're costing you money. And we couldn't get our heads around it. But actually, what happened because we followed their advice, what happened was we actually ended up with more time, more resource. And as a result, we did more business of good value clients. So we actually increased our revenue by getting
Okay.
bad clients because there were time leeches, they weren't paying enough money. And so, you know, we weren't making profit basically. And it was a really good way. It felt very painful to do, but actually it took about 3 to 6 months, and it just unblocked us and allowed us to focus and do better for our good clients, if you like. So, and then obviously focus on new business as well. So interesting sort of strategy. We found it really useful.
Yeah, definitely. You know, we've definitely got a lot of clients like that don't pay us very much and take up far too much of certain people's time.
Yeah, it's incredible how it works.
Yeah.
Any other questions? So we've got a few here, haven't we? It's very challenging for doing telephone marketing. Is there a way to get virtual agents for these? Yeah, there's loads of them. As Andy mentioned on this, I think it was this slide, outsourcing sales. If you type sales agency, telesales agency, that kind of stuff, just be really clear about your brief. Make sure you give them a really good understanding of your business. And set them targets. You know, this is the kind of lead I'm looking for. But if you type that into Google, you'll get all kinds of different agencies that do that. Who else have we got? Any top tips to kickstart footfall and sales in a gym that have been closed for so long? Wow, yeah. So yeah, that's a big area for a lot of people. Are going to be opening up the doors soon, and they want to get people in. That's going to take a lot of marketing. I think, you know, you want to let people know that you're there, that you're open again, and what you're open for. I think people have a think about the kind of objections or fears that people are going to have. So think about, are they going to think there's going to be restrictions? Are they going to think, have I got to wear a mask? Am I using equipment that other people have touched? You know, those are some messages that straight away I'd be thinking of if I was going back to the gym.
There's other things like, I've not been to the gym for over a year. You know, I'm going to feel minging in what I'm wearing, and I don't want to be around others. I want to perhaps do some PT first, you know, away from the gym, or, you know, with somebody else who I know from the gym. You know, overcoming those objectives, I suppose.
Yeah, and I think the other, like Andy said, a lot of people, I know a lot of my pals, we all started off on the fitness thing, you know, in the first lockdown, and it was summer, it was great. We're all getting out on our bikes and, you know, doing all kinds of activities, running and what have you. And then sort of as it headed towards autumn and the winter lockdown, it was more Netflix and pizzas and beers. And so we probably, between us, we've all probably put on a few pounds. Now we're getting back into that spring mindset, you know, and we're thinking about getting out. This is the perfect time to recover from lockdown, isn't it? You know, things are starting to relax a little bit more, but also our mindsets are quite positive at the moment. The sun's shining, we've got more daylight. So tap into those things on your social media, on your advertising, on your leaflets, whatever it is that you're doing. And encourage people. But more importantly, if they are coming to have a look at your gym, talk to them about their objectives. You know, put it all down as a consultation rather than we've got these great things and this, that, and the other. You know, what can you do for them? How can you?
It's actually taking that undercover brief that we talked about.
Yeah.
You know, just translate the questions and, you know, that's gonna suit them. Talk about their issues, their challenges, and then you've got, you know, they'll say, well, I don't want to come because, you know, I'm going to be dead unfit. Is there going to be loads of people there? You can manage all their expectations. You've got all that information. You kind of put it in an upfront proposal because you'll have all the answers for them.
Yeah. Some great things from Kirsty and Elaine in the chat there as well. Definitely applicable. Colette says, as a yoga teacher, I'm not really selling a product, I'm selling myself. Any tips? I'd say you are selling a product.
You're a brand. You are a brand.
You are a brand, and ultimately your product is flexibility, mobility, strength, health. That's what you're selling. So you are selling a better lifestyle, a healthy, there's loads of benefits. So they're the things that you're selling, you know, and that's what you should be appealing to. The fact that you think about those kind of things and communicate those kind of things is selling yourself. So what is it about your yoga that's different? Are you somebody who really drives people, or are you somebody who's much more relaxed? What's the experience they're going to have? That's what you're selling. So you sell that experience and you sell those benefits. And this is really key to sales for everybody.
Proper, not with chocolate chips in or raspberries or anything.
Somebody's ordering chips and raspberries from the sounds of it. So
Elaine, that is. What you doing, Elaine?
They're luxury ones are really nice, yeah.
Well,
Elaine's having a nice time. So obviously we're eating into people's lunch times. We'll do the last one here. What ways can one market to old clients using their addresses? Obviously be careful with GDPR here, but get in touch. You know, businesses change. Get in touch with them. Let them know what's changed with your business. Another great thing, I'll tell you what, I see this on ASOS and places like that. They'd send emails out, we miss you, you know, we miss working with you, or that kind of thing. It's a really nice, gentle way of getting back in touch with people without sort of ramming anything down the throats. It's, you know, ask how they are. That's a really great way. You know, we've not spoken in ages, just wanted to see how things are going. Really good way to get back in touch. Andy and I, when we started Royal Flush, there was loads of customers that we used to deal with on a personal level from other agencies that we worked with. So we got in touch with them all and we said, you know, I just wanted to see how things are going. We've not spoken in a while. And also to let you know, we set up our own thing. And we actually won a couple of clients off our old agency from doing it. We were well outside of our 12-month period as well. But what a great way to start business. You know, get in touch with people you know, because they've already experienced working with you. So it could be a great way to start. Any other questions before we wrap it up? It's 12:06. People are ordering their chips and raspberries. So we'll let you all go. Thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, hopefully we'll see you again in April, May or something. But for now, that was our last one in the series. So, but yeah, there's the email, you know, the website and everything. Get in touch, leave us a review. Ask your clients to leave you a review. You'll soon start to see it stack up. And yeah, look forward to hearing from you all. Hope you've enjoyed it.
Have a great weekend. It's only Wednesday, isn't it? Or Thursday? Is it
Thursday?
All right. Well, have a great weekend, everyone.
What 2 hours does to him.